Hello and welcome to my October wrap up. This is the video where I show you all the books that I've hauled in the month of October, that I've read, and that I will be unhauling now at the end of October. So let's start with the books that I've hauled that are not so many. I'm very proud of myself here. The first new book that I've got was Made by Ellie Hazelwood, the next book after Bride in the series that I don't know the name of, but I was really entertained by Bride, so I wanted to continue the series, which I will do now with Made. I know this is the story of the best friend of the female main character of book one and another pack leader of the werewolves. So we already know they are mates, and that Serena, the female main character, is half werewolf, half human, and she is the first one known that is a half blood. So there are a lot of things unknown, a lot of problems that are complicating things, and I'm really interested in reading this, so hopefully I will get to it soon. And hopefully I will also get to this book soon. It is the next book in the Dungeon Crawler Core series. This is now book 5, The Butcher's Masquerade by Matt Dinniman. I'm really enjoying the series. It is super entertaining, something that I've never read before. And Matt Dinniman surprises me in every book with a lot of plot twists. So I'm very excited to read book 5, which I will do now in November. So I can continue my Dungeon Crawler car vlog. Yes, it is still in works, but hopefully I will get it to you at the beginning of 2026. We will see. I want to finish book 7 to give you this video, and hopefully I will read book 7 in January. And you see, this book is really chunky. Like the next and last book that I've got. Yes, you heard me right. This is already the last book that I've hauled in October. It is Wind and Truth by Brandon Sanderson. I've waited for a matching paperback copy to my other Brandon Sanderson books, and this is the one. A brick of a book, over 1,400 pages. I'm very, very intimidated by this, but I won't get to it soon. I will put it on my TBR because I have to read a lot of other Cosmere books before this. So I will probably get to Wind and Truth at the end of 2026 or in 2027. We will see, because I haven't planned all my other reads from the Cosmere for 2026. I just made my parts for the next book in the Stormlight Archive series, because that is the one I will read next. It is Words of Radiance with 1,200 pages, so I will need 3 months to read this. My goal is to read 100 pages per week in my Read With Me videos on Sundays. So I have book 2 of the Stormlight Archives, the Edge Dancer novella. Then I have Oathbringer, the 3rd book in the Stormlight Archives. I'm not sure if then Rhythm of War comes next, the 4th book in the Stormlight Archives, or the novella Dawnshard. We will see when I get to it. And then we have The Sunlit Man, and then Wind and Truth, if I'm correct. And at some point I need to read Arcanum Unbound before I am up to date, or up to date until now, because next year comes the next book in the Cosmic Universe, The Isles of the Ember Dark. So, my Read With Me series on Sundays won't end soon, I can say that. And to read constantly in this universe and the series is really helping me to get through these thick books. So it is not as intimidating as reading all of it at once. But as I said, for now, this will get on my TBR. And as I said, this was already the last book that I've got in the month of October. So we can get now to the books that I've read in October. The first book that I've read is an ebook, and it was a reread. It is book 4 in the Fallen Angels series by J.R. Ward, Rapture. And I really enjoyed reading book 4. It was entertaining. There was a lot of drama and action as always. And we had more focus on the main characters and the plot of this book than the overall plot around Jim and his obsession with Cece, which I really liked. So I can't wait to continue my reread of the series in November now with the next installment. But so far, I'm still waiting for Marin to finish the Black Dagger book that comes before Fallen Angels 5. And I don't want to get too much ahead of her, but fingers crossed she will finish Lovers at Last soon so we can continue. And the next book was also a buddy read. It is this one, Silver Cloak by L.K. Stephen. I read this with my buddy read partner Michelle, and surprisingly, she finished today. She had a lot going on in the last few weeks, so she was a little bit behind, which is completely okay. No pressure to my buddy read partners. But I couldn't wait to read her opinion on the last few chapters, which I finally could do today. And I'm really happy that we are on the same track here, that we have the same opinion. And honestly, I'm really intrigued by the idea of the plot here, especially by the end of this book. But all in all, I wasn't really satisfied by the book, especially by the lack of logic with the magic system or the annoying prophecies in this book. So I don't know if I will continue this series. I need to think about that because, yes, I'm more intrigued by the idea of the story than the story itself. If this makes sense. If you want to know more about it, the vlog is already out where I read this book. It is the Welcome to the Dark Side vlog, so you can watch it if you want. And of course, we also have a Dungeon Crawler call book in my wrap up. This is book 4, The Gate of the Feral Gods by Matt Dinneman. And as I said before, I really love this series. It is super entertaining, full of surprises, and I really like this world building and that there is so much criticism on our society. So far, my favorite book of the series is still book 2, but I liked book 4 way more than book 3. Book 3 was really confusing to me, but I'm really intrigued now to continue with book 5 and see about that floor because that will be really different than everything else we've read before. And surprise, another buddy read. So far, all the books were buddy reads. This is now the second book of the Renegades series by Marissa Meyer. It is called Arch Enemies in English. This is the English cover and the version that I've read because I've cringed reading the German version. I've tried 2 pages and then I got to the translated superhero names, and nope, not for me, especially because I started the series in English. So I wanted to continue in English and read Arc Enemies, and it was okay. I'm not the biggest fan of book 2. There wasn't a lot of character development, and honestly, we are still in the same situation in which we started book 2, so not much progress made. But I'm still intrigued to read book 3 and see how it all ends. And which book was a must read for October for all the romantasy girls or more dark fantasy girls? Yes, Alchemized by Zenlin Yu. I've read this now in October. Finished a bit late for my buddy read, but as I said, no pressure, even to me. I can read it in my own pace if a lot is going on, and I did that here. It was dark, it was heavy, and I really liked the whole vibe of this book. Even if in the end it was not for me, I'm not the biggest fan of Zen Lin Yu's writing, which is okay. Opinions are different and tastes are different. So I hope you enjoyed this, cried your eyes out, which sadly I didn't do. But I'm still glad that I've read it, that I could discuss it with Michelle, my buddy read partner, again, and that I can at least talk about Alchemized, because I really don't like to miss out on a hype and can't talk about it with everyone else. So at least I have that. This is another hyped book, at least for me and a lot of other girls that like the books of Arif Kuang. It is Catabasis. And I don't know if you can see from that far, but I've marked a lot of things. There are a lot of sticky notes in this book, and I really loved reading Catabasis. I'm a really big fan of dark academia, or more the concept of dark academia, and I loved this one. The whole adventure in hell, the whole twisted minds and manipulation, and the character development, especially of Alice. And not to forget the representation of chronic illnesses here. This was one of my most anticipated books of 2025, and it was a 5-star read for me, so I'm really glad that I've read it now. I was late with my buddy read, but that's okay. As I said before, I can take my time with it if I need it. And if you want to know more about my opinion on Catabasis and Alchemized, you can also see these 2 books in my Welcome to the Dark Side vlog. The vlog for this book isn't out yet. This is Legacy of Ashes, The History of the CIA by Tim Weiner. The second of 3 books that I want to read for my Tim Weiner vlog. I'm still working on that and reading the third book for this vlog currently. And I can say this book was my least favorite of the 3 that I'm reading for this vlog. It was a lot of politics, a lot of repetition, a lot of we don't learn from our mistakes and do the same thing again and again, even if it doesn't work. A lot of chaos in the CIA, and I wasn't a fan of that. even if I'm still glad that I've read it, because this is history. This is non-fiction, so things that really happened. And I think it is important to learn about things like that, even if I don't live in America. The things that are mentioned here and are talked about influences the whole world and are international, and it got more interesting to me personally in the end when we got to a time where I lived, where I was a bit older when I got into my teenage time. So early 2000s and everything after that, because this was a time I can remember. Of course, I haven't experienced the circumstances that are mentioned here, like the whole 9/11. I don't live in America. I haven't experienced the war in Iraq, but I think it is still important to read about these things and learn about it, because in reality, I just saw glimpses in the news and haven't really thought about it as a teenage girl or even as a grown up. And the second CIA book that I'm currently reading, teaser here, is focusing on that time. So, starting with 9/11 and everything after that. So, way more interesting and intriguing to me, because this is present life and things that are influencing our daily life. But I will tell you more about it in my Tim Weiner vlog and in my next wrap up. And I finished Elantris by Brandon Sanderson now in October. It was part of my Cosmere Read With Me's on Sundays. And Brandon Sanderson himself said in one of his videos or a lot of his interviews that this is his weakest work. I disagree. I really liked Elantris and the whole world building, the characters. I'm a really big fan of that. And I really enjoyed reading Elantris. And I can't wait to continue the Cosmere universe now with Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. And in my Thursday Read With Me videos, I finished Rumored by Kelly and Christina Mancaruso. I really loved this book. It was super entertaining, full of plot twists, and I flew through these pages. I'm a really big fan of this book. And if you are a fan of a murder mystery story and a fan of pop culture, of Easter eggs, and a view behind the scenes of the music industry, you should give Rumored a try. And here we have a book that is one of the oldest books on my TBR, or better, was Night Road by Kristen Hanna. It was on my TBR since 2015, so 10 years, and I finally read it now and really liked it. I've cried a lot reading this book because it was a really emotional story, and I'm a really big fan of that. I'm not loving it, but really, really liking it. And maybe I will read more by Kristen Hanna in the future. We will see. So far, this was the only book from her on my TBR, and I try to focus working on that. So it is not a priority to me to buy more books by Kristen Hanna, but we'll see. Maybe in the future. But before we get to the future, I have two more books that I've read in October. This is the German version of Lovers at Last by J.R. Ward. Book 12, I think in the Blackletter Brotherhood series. And the story that was most anticipated by me, the reason why I did the big reread of 19 books, so I could finally read Lovers at Last. And if I think about it, this is not book 12, it should be book 11 of the series. But no matter what, I'm glad I've read it now. It was a bit disappointing, yes, because it was a lot of unnecessary miscommunication. I was really, really annoyed by it. But I really loved the side plots here and am intrigued by that. So even if the main plot was annoying, I'm still intrigued to continue now in November, which is why you saw the next book in the series already on my November TBR. But this video is not about November, it is about October. So, 3 books that I've hauled, 12 books that I've read. So, this was a really, really successful reading month. And I love to see that this pile is so much bigger than my haul pile. This is exactly how I wanted to reduce my TBR. So I'm really proud of that. But before I finish the video, we still need to talk about one topic, and that is what I want to unhaul now after the end of October. And I already thought a lot about this the last few days and came to the conclusion that I want to keep all of these books for now. So they will all go on the shelves behind me. These will go on my TBR shelf there or on my current November TBR for this one. But that also means that we are now at the end of this video. Please tell me in the comments what you have read in October. Which was your favorite book? Which was your least favorite book? Like this video if you wanna, follow my channel, and I will see you next time. Bye!